Yeah, no swearing right now. Yeah, and if you can your Facebook and share the stream, that would be great.
All right, I'm gonna do that right now. I know Nick Billman is looking forward to it. He's asked me a couple times, so.
She gone. Let me mute him real quick.
Okay, let's go share.
I did, just so you guys know, remind me, John is muted right now. Well, our guest is muted right now. When it's time, we'll bring him on and let everyone talk to him and do all that stuff. I'm going to introduce him and then kind of go from there. He'll come in after the COVID-19 talk that we have.
Okay, 440 and goal. Ashtabula's first Facebook sports talk show.
Oh, yeah.
Is live. Here we are.
Rob Burkhart, we're going to get to you in a little bit, brother. No problem. That's a great question. We're going to get to that soon.
Hey, Rob. What's up, man?
Thanks for joining us. What up, man? Live here soon. We're just getting the cast ready. That way everyone's ready to roll. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us. We're not going to pop off till 8 o'clock. We're just getting it going. If you guys all help us out and share it with your friends, your family, everything.
Look at that quaff.
I don't know what. Good night, brother, man. Woo!
It don't work with the man bun,
No,
bro.
right.
Like, I'm just going to put the hair up. You know what I mean?
I had to shave my face
1 second.
because I look like a homeless person.
Oh,
all right, let's get Facebook open, actually.
Yeah, we got 6 minutes, everybody, till we kick off, till we start our live broadcast. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Alvin. Thanks, Nick, for coming on. If you guys could help us out and share it to everybody.
Baker, disappointment maker.
Nah, get out of here with that stuff.
Touchdown maker. Thank God Baker's out of the kitchen, proverbially and physically.
Yeah, I'm hoping he doesn't spend too much time in there this offseason. He came out. Baker looked like the Baker's body shape this year was like the villain in every comic football movie ever. Like, he looks like he should be the first guy, and Keanu Reeves came out and saved us.
Gotta get the stash out of my lip.
Oh, just so everyone knows, we're going live in about 5 minutes.
David Revis. Yeah, boy. How you doing?
Apparently he's a Baker fan.
Much respect, David. I'll drink to that.
I wish I could. Hey, I wish I could vote Sammy. That'd be fun.
I pulled out from the vat my Merry Mashup Mountain Dew. This thing's in the vault, man. Got to keep that. You know, might just have to drink that straight for a second. Savor that flavor.
Take her down.
Take her down, boy. Why do my fucking gosh darn headphones look
Come on now.
I know. I caught myself.
We just got fined by the CDC. Thanks.
We sure did. Roger Goodell's going to be calling me tomorrow.
What up, man?
Why did you swear?
What up, Kyle?
I can't see who's joining.
You won't be able to on your end. That's why I always have the Facebook live stream up on the backside.
Get rid of that sound. All right.
Sammy is lowering your viewers. Hey man, I got to put a big old like on that. Come on now.
Listen, every
doing,
Shannon Sharp needs a Skip Bayless.
Last year I went golfing and Matt Passy showed up and he came over to me and he hugged me and he said, "Man, you smell great." I was like, oh my God. That was the biggest compliment I've gotten in years. Felt great, dude. I'll never forget that. It was a big boost to my ego that day, especially because I shot like 150 on the front nine. No, that's right.
Looks like we're up to about 16 viewers before kickoff. So everyone knows my name's Ryan Cole. I think a lot of us know each other, but my name's Ryan Cole. Man, in the middle we got Thomas / Thom Roth. They're bringing up the rear. Sammy Torres. This is the new. We kind of changed the name a little bit. We brought it out to the
David Rivas. That's outstanding.
It sounds like Body and Old. Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
It's Bod and Old Spice, aka every dance at West Junior High ever.
All right. But just so everyone knows that's listening, this is the. I do believe Sammy put it out there, but it's the one and only Ashtabula area sports talk radio live on Facebook. We do it usually 2-3 nights a week. We're going to try to get it to a point where we're doing it consistently on certain nights, just seeing how things are rolling. Thank you everybody for joining. Please hit the like button. I don't know, all kinds of little pop-ups come up if you guys hit the thumbs up, hearts, all that.
Matt, I am wearing pants.
Yes. Well, we think he is. So, but yes, so this is we're officially called the 440 in goal. I'd like to thank Sammy for that. That was a great name that he came up with, and I love it. Soon enough here, we're going to have T-shirts, coffee cups presented to us via Sammy's wife, Jessica. My wife is going to do a few things, and I think Megan, Sammy, or Thom's wife is going to put together some stuff too. So,
yeah. Some stuff for giveaways and stuff. She's real crafty. Her vintage vibes and crafty designs business is kind of on hold right now just for stuff with Wyatt being home. She's taking care of him, but she's dabbled in the idea of bringing some stuff out. So one thing I really want to say real quick before we even begin is like, I really like how this evolved from me talking to Ryan about like just making like a sports blog into this collaborative effort. I think that's really cool, especially it speaks to the sense of community that's being brought together through this COVID-19 pandemic, kind of bringing people together and elaborating on ideas, making something grow from like nothing, it's cool.
David Rivas says, make sure Sammy is not in charge of Cupcake. That's great. That's great. All right.
I don't even like cupcakes, damn it.
8 o'clock has hit. I'd like to welcome everyone to the live broadcast of the 440 in Goal show. You got me presenting with my name's Ryan. We got Thom and Sammy on the end there. Thank you everybody who has shown up. We do have a little bit of a special guest. Everyone, I'll bet, knows us, knows him. He'll be coming on the show just a little bit later. So coming through, coronavirus update, Ashtabula County as of today, 32 confirmed, still 2 deaths. So we haven't moved up in that number, which is a good thing. Anything on your guys' ends, Thom or Sammy, to kind of push through that a little bit?
I actually got some information today from Nick Billman. Sent me over a link to what the Harvard's Department of Public Health basically came out with an article saying that without further tightening on social distancing measures, and that we could stretch this out potentially into 2022, which is to me insane. I mean, that's a huge chunk of life for most kids. And then, for them to say that even more, restrictions are going to be needed. Like right now, I'm sure there's a huge group of people out there that feel like we're too restricted as it is. But, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. I think people feel like we're through the storm because I'll tell you what, on my way into work this morning, the highways are full again. So I don't know how many people are actually, following up with this because the highways are full, and that's usually a good indication. I'm not talking about full with trucks. It's full with cars, and that's a good indication that people are out doing and trying to stretch it out a little bit. Not necessarily saying that they're not taking the proper distances and measures, but, the more people that get involved, the longer this is going to last.
David puts out there that people are not taking it serious, which I 100% agree with David. It just doesn't seem like the want to make things better is totally there. I mean, I know there's a handful in Ashtabula County that are, legitimately just making it worse for everybody else. Because I know everyone, everyone that has the power to stay home is staying home just because it makes sense for them. But go ahead, Tom. Sorry about that.
All right. So going off kind of what Sammy said, today I had to deliver a vehicle from Madison to Westlake. And down, like Sammy said, I before this hit, probably like right before Christmas time, maybe a little bit after, I went to Top Golf with a bunch of my buddies to visit Ricky Hernandez and Matt Monis down there. We went to Top Golf, and I just remember like how many people were driving, like because for some reason I remember that day vividly. I saw as many, if not more, vehicles on the road today on my drive to Westlake. And like you said, Sammy, it's not semi trucks, it's not Amazon Prime trucks. It was a dude in a Toyota Highlander just speeding on down, and I mean, traffic was backed up for a minute. Like it was nuts. It wasn't like it was just like your average day. And I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they did have somewhere important to go, but it was just nuts. I really thought it was going to be a little less populated on the freeway. Turns out I was wrong. Yeah, that was just nuts. One thing, COVID, we talked about a little earlier, Ryan. Karl Anthony Towns, NBA player, his mother died from the COVID virus. It was confirmed. I have three websites for confirmation: ESPN, Real GM, and Towns' Instagram. So, that's it's horrible that had to happen to him and his family. Ultimately, like Sammy said the other night, the original projection is everyone will know at least 4 people that passed away from this. And obviously he knows someone now, and it's just unfortunate that's what's going on right now. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. And this is Karl Anthony Towns, who is young. This is not an older NBA player. This is a kid. His mother's 58 years old. I guarantee you some of the people watching this are older than that. And I guarantee you most of the people watching this, their parents are older than that. So, a lot of it's here, folks. It's here. And like I said on our last podcast, you really have to. So I always look at it when these people with infinite funds are dropping to this disease, it really lets you know that, what kind of chance do you have?
Yeah.
Shoot, if his mom didn't have a chance, I don't have a chance.
Well, so I think this is a good opportunity to bring in our guest. Hopefully he's listening in, and he knows he's about to come on live. So the look says maybe different. So we're going to bring him in now. If everyone can, I guess at home, give a round of applause, whatever you want to call it, but say hi to a Mr. A1, John Boy McCoy, coming in hot from the Menor area. Let's see. Is he going to pop up? Give him a little clap. Let's see how this one works.
What's happening, fellas?
John, can you hear us? Yeah. All right. So he's
live. Hear you.
Sergeant in charge over there taking up about. Yes, you are on. Can you hear us?
John, let me be the first one to say you look great.
I don't know if he can hear us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he can.
That was a compliment.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. Is it?
If he can't hear us, I'm sure Curious George will tell him what we're saying.
Oh yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh yeah.
All right. So
can you hear me now?
Moving in, John.
You guys have dollar store internet connections, man. Are you linked into Taco Bell over there, right?
No, I don't know what's going on. Everything's running smooth except for when John came.
I've got spectrum, bro. I don't know
Ryan,
what
you're leeching off the ho-hum motels.
You're fine.
What's going on?
All right. So, John,
right,
if you can hear me, yes, we can hear you. Moving into the COVID-19, what's going on out in the Mentor area? You can update us a little bit, but before that, actually give us a little bit of your background. Again, this is a Sports Talk Radio. We like to talk about that. And that's one of the reasons why we brought you on. Obviously, I've known you since not knee high to a grasshopper, but close enough. And but you do have quite the background in Ashtabula County for sports. So, but go ahead, floor is yours.
Sure. So out of high school, for everybody that doesn't know who I am, graduated from Lakeside in 2005, NEC champs player. Went on to junior college in the south side of Chicago, ended up playing a total of 7 years of college football, which a lot of people can't believe that. But on a later date, when we have more time, I'll explain to you how that could happen. Had a short couple stints in indoor. Also made an attempt to play in Canada, and ultimately found out that speed is crucial, regardless of how great of an athlete you think you are. It's a game changer. But away from that, I'm glad you guys started this because of all the madness with COVID and everything that's been distracting everybody. I think this is a great opportunity. I think this is a huge opportunity for Ashtabula as far as the sports world is concerned, especially even with, I guess, my lack of experience as far as like on the professional level. I did have the opportunity to, play at multiple, Division I to essentially Division VI with addition to indoor. And I think that we're going to build a bridge and a gap for a lot of folks that are coming out of Ashtabula as far as, what their potential can be and what can happen. And also, give them like a little bit of hope, because in all actuality, I was a really good football player, but I wasn't like a phenomenal athlete. And I think that, going through that stuff, I think if anything, I hope that would give some kids that follow up that either knew me or I could have an influence on to capitalize on that, even the ones that are better athletes.
Yeah. Hey, John. Well, I got you.
That's awesome.
Into the COVID. No, not John. Sorry, Tom. You had just recently installed some workout equipment down at Walnut Beach. I said it right the first time. You want to elaborate on that? Get your name out there a little bit.
Yeah. Walnut Beach. Yeah, sure, man. And I appreciate the invite to talk about it. So about 5 years ago, I started an organization that was essentially a fitness rec program for I guess underserved populations, or a combination of folks with special needs or folks that are put in unfortunate circumstances, whether it be foster care or abusive homes or whatever the case is. And it grew into a more or less like a community action thing to piggyback off of existing programs. So what I did was basically provide the opportunity for fitness access to folks in Ashtabula, in the surrounding area, and basically all on the lakeshore, hopefully with the leverage of creating the opportunity to have programming that would be low cost and affordable for the, I guess, population that we're trying to serve, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I had the privilege myself to be down there for the ribbon cutting ceremony. It was pretty awesome just to watch how all the commissioners came down there, and I know talking to you before even coming here, you had to put a lot of back end work in to get that done. And it even got to a point, if I recall right, you just said that, I'm doing it and they're going to listen. That's what it is. So, but yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate that. Anything that you can bring to Ashtabula is amazing. A lot of times we don't have anything. So, sorry, I got a little hiccup.
Last input.
Yeah, go ahead.
We are going to be building again, hopefully after this virus situation and the isolation period dissolves or hopefully moves forward, we're going to be building fitness stations similar to what we had built originally at Walnut Beach, which is basically like pull-up bars, dip bars, things like that around Smith Field on West Avenue. And again, hopefully with
cool.
putting these things in, the relationships around Ashtabula will help, I guess, reunite the community.
Yeah, that's
John,
that's awesome.
can you talk about a little bit how you have? Hey, yeah, John, can you talk a little bit about how you're raising the money to get these fitness centers built? Like some of the things that you're doing, maybe getting the community involved to help fund this type of stuff.
Sure. So actually, we are having our. Give me just a second. We're having a fundraiser, which is our golf outing. This is our second one. It'll be on July, I believe it's the 20th, at Maple Ridge Golf Course. The teams are actually filling up pretty quick, and that's the one way that we raise the funds. The other way that I raise funds is essentially just out of my own pocket. So the more that we can get, I guess, traction in Ashtabula with the companies that exist or the existing or health related entities, we'll be able to build a lot more. But I mean, like anything else, man, it's a slow roll, especially when we're being hiccuped with everything that's going on right now. But that's definitely one way to do it. Thanks for asking that question. I mean, it'd be great to have everybody that's listening to show up. It'd be a lot of fun.
That golf outing last year, man, I do a lot of golf outings. Oh God, yeah. That was probably the best golf outing I did last year. Just from it got awesome.
It was fun.
All right,
it'll be a good time this year. We actually got a few. So it'll be. Anyway, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just so we're under, sorry, I had to move around a little bit. My internet connection up there where I was is pretty atrocious right now. So I'm trying to kind of put things together. But so how's it out in Mentor for the COVID virus? What's going on out there? Still a lot of traffic, still a lot of people working?
Well, for me, I mean, my primary job is, energy distribution. So I'm working on gas lines. So I'm isolated. So, I mean, I'm at work before anybody's really out on the road. I see a few semis, but for the most part, I mean, I'll be honest, man, like it's a ghost town. For the most part, I mean, people, you'll see folks in Walmart or in Giant Eagle, grabbing their essentials, and it's that awkward, standoffish, kind of thing because everybody's unsure. But I mean, for the most part, people, in my opinion, are following the rules at least to a degree that it's going to slow the spread, which it has considerably, obviously, but it's still a big deal.
For sure. Have you seen anything in your line of work that has given you pause? Is there anything that you've done or that you're seeing your employee, like your coworkers do, anything like that, that's kind of giving you pause? Like anything like, hey, like is this really necessary at this time? Like, or is it just kind of business as usual?
Well, to be honest, we are actually governed by Dominion, East Ohio Gas, and are incredibly stricty. So every morning we come in, we do temperature. Everybody gets issued hand samples. Most of us wear masks while we're doing
very cool
saw cutting or gas, but for the most part, like 6 feet away in most cases anyway. So, I mean, we're good, but I mean, I can't be for the rest of the industry. You know what I mean?
Hey, before we go a little further, John, Chris Pildner asks, what is the committee name? I think he may be referring to, I know you, one thing we haven't even talked about is what your business is called. I know we're kind of backtracking a little bit, but if you could let him know that information, that would be great.
It's actually Foundation is the name. The company we kind of like the umbrella for committees for parks and creating programs and health and wellness related services. You can check us out on Facebook at The Iron Foundation. You'll see my gorgeous mug on the front cover, along with all the champions of last year's golf outing. Thank you for that shout out.
Yeah. So that's John McCoy. Business is the Iron Foundation. He does a lot of things in Ashtabula County, just to kind of produce it and get them out there a little bit more for everyone that's listening right now. So kind of moving on with the agenda. Let's see here. So the one thing I wanted to get into was the new Indianapolis Colts moving on from the COVID.
Oh boy.
But the new Colts logo, which I don't know if anyone can throw an image up there real quick, but that thing is atrocious. Anyone's thoughts on that one?
Am I allowed to say what I said earlier?
If you don't swear, I don't care. Oh no, wait a minute.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Woo.
Nope.
I'm just gonna do it. So the Indianapolis Colts, to me, their new logo looks like they commissioned Michael J. Fox to make the Cleveland Block C. That's exactly what it looks like.
Terrible.
I mean, it's horrible.
Yes, it's terrible.
I know it's terrible, but just to give a representation in your mind, imagine Michael J. Fox was doing pretty good making Block C, and then towards the inside of it just went.
Yeah.
That's what it is, man. It's atrocious.
Timmy, you got anything on that? Did we lose him?
No, I'm here. Okay. I'm looking at it as we're talking about it. Yeah, that so the Colts isn't exactly we talk about how terrible our ownership is. Boy, that ownership out there in Indianapolis is not too great either. So I don't really have high expectations from them anyway. You know what the problem is, and this is really going to be the problem, I think, league-wide. Designs, and I'm turning into that get off my lawn, okay boomer guy, I guess, more and more by the day. But designs are getting cartoony. Like I remember how ridiculous everything in the XFL looked like. And now that has become the new norm. And, I've got I'm friends with people like my friend Ricky loves, he wants the Browns to have 16 different color combinations because, he wants them to be Oregon by the lake. But I don't know. I'm very with any of these uniforms, I'm always partial to, simple. I like to watch a simple uniform do big things, i.e. Alabama, Ohio State.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ohio State. Is there a simple logo in the NFL? Do we have a simple logo?
And quite frankly, I think the Browns
have the most simple. Yep.
Yeah, the Browns. Okay. I mean, who could say it wasn't simple? It's orange. It's an orange helmet. That's it. I mean, they don't even have. Technically, there's not even a logo. Their logo is a helmet because they don't have a logo.
Long live Brownie the Elf.
I wish they'd bring him back. He was one of my favorites.
Jets.
The Jets coming in.
Anthony.
Yeah, but
Anthony
you know what? The Jets every now and again. The Cowboy Star. You're right. That is simple, and that's classic too. I was a Cowboys fan growing up. When I was a little kid, man. Emmitt Smith, Michael Irving, Troy Aikman. That's all I cared about. I didn't become a Browns fan until I was an adult, and it's probably the worst decision I've ever made.
And everyone has if you were a 90s kid, man, everyone had that starter jacket Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
It didn't matter who it was. It didn't matter if you hated the Cowboys. You had that Cowboys starter jacket, man. And that thing was like $15 at Kmart. Now you got to go buy it for $400.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, I had the Cowboys one, and my sister had a Charlotte Hornets one. Who, boy, they figured out the color scheme because they're like, look, our team's not going to do anything now that Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning are gone. So let's just get really creative.
Yeah.
Oh, they had.
I love how John's picture is just completely stuck on him slamming whatever he's drinking. All right, so moving down the list here a little
bit. Hold on. Matt Tapassi says Colts logo looks like the BB Gun Star game at a fair gone wrong. That's 100% accurate. That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like the uncoordinated kid who was trying to shoot out the star.
Let's see. All right. So getting into some of the viewers' questions. Nick Billman asked, I know the team designs the logos, but what is Nike doing? Atlanta Jets, the Rams, our old jersey. I feel like they're trying too hard. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't a question, Nick. It was more of a statement, but I think he's right. The Falcons jersey and the Rams, they're doing anything they can just to push something new. I think it's just to get a new product out there more than anything. To represent the way you want to represent, you have to go out and buy the newest and latest stuff. So, but I think you're 100% right, Nick.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And for better or worse, I mean, I think the NFL is trying to go too much college now. I mean, we talked about the Oregon Ducks earlier. I mean, you're getting these teams like the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, their logo's super basic now. It's just an ATL, but I mean, what do they have? They have 3 colors and I think I counted 7 or 8 different combinations. It's just to sell jerseys, man. It's just to make revenue for Nike. I mean, it's the same thing with Nike does with their shoes. I mean, Kyrie Irving's over there. Kyrie Irving's got he's got his Nets colorways. Yeah. He's got and then he goes back and he's got SpongeBob colorways, man. I mean, those are sweet. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's just kind of it's just a cash grab.
Right. I'm not sure what Sammy's getting into there. Maybe a kid.
Sammy's that a dungeon?
What is he doing? We're gonna hide him for a second. And I love Mark Lovis's comment there. I don't know if you've seen that, Tom. So Mark is someone that I used to work with. Oh,
we used to work with Mark. Yeah, shout out to Mark Lovash, man.
Go ahead, John. I know you were breaking up a little bit, but go ahead. We'll give the floor to you.
Hello,
John, you
there? So my question, away from the photos, are either horrible or am I muted?
No, you're on.
No, you're on.
You're just stuttering pretty good.
That's the wrong one. I don't care. Even if it's been, it'll work.
It's a little laggy. Quick. So my question is, if all horrible designs are being debated, design did it for purpose? You're talking right.
All right, try. Yeah, we can hear you. You're just you're lagging out pretty good. Try saying something again. I just took you off the video. Tom, can you still hear me?
Jonathan.
Yes, we can hear you. Jonathan.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yes.
No,
we can. Yeah.
All right. All right, so just keep me off the video then. I don't have to be seen. It's not a big deal to me. My question was based around the fact that, okay, we have these horrible designs that were just created, right? It looks like we're going backwards. But do you ever think that maybe that was the intention so that you get the idea of the awareness, right? Because the Colts have sucked since before Peyton Manning left, right? So now all of a sudden they have to have some sort of way to get people to come back into the stadium outside of the combines or anything, anything remotely close to what they had before, right? So you make a horrible design, people are going to talk about it, right?
Correct.
They're like the kid that won the coloring contest at Hills. They got a free slot. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No matter what. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Yeah. That's funny.
Everybody picture. Like, it's dope. And then 5 minutes later, it doesn't matter anymore. But hey, the ratings went up for 5 minutes. Guess what? They made their money on that investment. Who cares? Right. But you know what? They have to wear it the whole year. Let them suck.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's right.
True. Well, I mean, if you look at it, and we'll kind of move into the next topic here, and that is the Cleveland Browns new unis. Obviously, they haven't been released yet. Let's see if we get Sammy back here. Hold on. Sammy, you are muted, but you are now unmuted. So
sorry, I had to get a charger on this computer.
Oh, you're all right. The Cleveland Browns new uniforms, they're getting ready to be released tomorrow at noon. Everything that I've seen and heard of, it should be Sorry, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. But everything that I've seen and heard of, it's going to go. They're kind of kicking it back to the old school when Derek Anderson was the man, and we had Braylon Edwards as a wide receiver. They're going back to the older jerseys. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Don't even care.
So
I mean,
so I'm gonna go out there. Sorry, Sammy. I'm gonna go out there and just say I didn't see anything wrong with our current jerseys. I quite like them. I really like the way that they looked. Sammy, your wide-eyed expression tells me you feel differently, but that's fine. I mean, I really like the color rush. The color rush was dope in my opinion. And I really like the orange ones. I mean, I got an orange Nick Chubb jersey. Honestly, that might be my favorite jersey I've ever owned outside of my Beckham. Not just because I like Chubb the player, but because I think that color scheme and everything just worked. I think it modernized what we had. I think that it kind of wanted to bring us in a different direction, and I feel that it worked. But ultimately, uniforms don't matter if the product that you put out on the field isn't good. It's kind of like when the Cavs had those plain Jane jerseys after LeBron left, and they still had them the year he came back. No one cared about the jersey. They cared about the player in the jersey. Like LeBron was back in them plain Jane things that just said Cleveland in block letters. Like those were the stupidest jerseys I've ever seen, but it was still cool though because we had LeBron in that jersey. So I really don't think we needed a new jersey. I mean, regardless, I'm probably going to go buy a Miles and Denzel jersey, but honestly, I didn't see anything wrong with the ones that we had.
Yeah, I agree with Marlon, though. He mentions I always liked the Cleveland's color rush jerseys. They were pretty slick. I don't know if there is going to be a color rush jersey. That's going to be another good question. Are they going to keep that brown with brown?
Yeah.
All right.
So they've updated it a
from
little
everything
bit from
I've seen. They're going to. They're taking off that. They're taking off that god-awful Cleveland on the pants, which was the most ridiculous video game NBA 2K looking thing I've ever seen. So they're going to, if the ones I saw are correct, they're going to be nice. They're going old school, not just old school like Derek Anderson. They're going old school like 80s old school, brown jersey, white numbers, 3 orange stripes on the sleeve, real plain Jane. That's what I like.
Bernie.
I like that plain Jane stuff. Like that's and you know what? It could be the product on the field is why I feel that way. Because I'll tell you what, had LeBron talking about the Cavs, had LeBron not won a championship, I hate wine and gold. That color scheme is terrible. I didn't like it when we had it through that entire time. That must have been his favorite color. I like the black and powder blue. I really like the blue and orange. Yeah. Those were my, that was the Cleveland Cavaliers I liked. So I think you're right. Honestly, they could go out and play in paper bags. As long as they're winning, we don't care. But I would like to see a plain uniform.
I didn't like having blue and orange because blue and orange is the New York Knicks. You know what I mean? Like, for better or worse. I mean, you got to have your own. I hate these teams in the same league that have the same color scheme. I just think that that's pedantic and redundant in a sense.
But you know what? There's only so many ways you can go. Look how many red, white, and blues there are.
Yeah, and I just don't like that. I mean, be original, man. Like that's like, I know it's gonna sound sacrilegious, but that's why I just love the Seahawks color scheme, man. No one else has that I can think of right now off the top of my head, and I'm probably wrong, so don't crucify me. But I mean, no one else has that, and that's pretty sweet. It makes them an individual organization. You don't associate that in your head. You don't get it confused. Like, I don't know.
Any thoughts on that,
they look like
John?
Aquaman.
What colors would you prefer, Tom?
For who? For the Cavs?
For any, I mean,
for the Cavs?
No, for anybody. I mean, there's, like Sammy said, here's my 2 cents on it. How about you get a winning record? Right, you win more than 8 games, you're allowed to change your color scheme. In 82 games, you win 41, you might be able to get to change your color scheme. I mean, you have to win some games, I think, to be able to change your uniform. You know what? The neighbor across the street could buy a great brand new lawnmower, but if he sucks at cutting grass, it's still going to look like garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's about
the
it.
The mower's going to look that much worse, and I'd be like, I'm never going to buy that. I'm never going to buy that. I mean, I went to all 8 or 7 of the 8 home games this year, and was miserable the entire time. I don't care if they were out there naked. Horrible. Win some games and then worry about your colors.
At some point, I'm not buying
into gimmicks. In your franchise stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, Donnie,
we've been doing it for too long.
Yeah.
I want to hop into Donnie. Asked a pretty good question.
Got 25 coaches.
Right. I want to ask. Donnie asked a pretty good question.
They were all well deserved.
Let's see. Thoughts on players having unfortunate injuries but are now healthy, getting ready for the draft, and how it could impact where and what number being drafted. QB position, for example. My assumption is he is talking about COVID and Tua and the COVID preventing, any real way to get into a physical room with that team. So it's going to be tough. I know listening today, everything is virtual. I was watching ESPN this morning and they were talking about everything is going to be virtual. The only way the teams are going to actually come together is if all 32 teams or 32 clubs decide to come back for what is it? Not open tryouts. What's it called when they show back up? I'll get that information. But your guys' thoughts on the COVID affecting the draft? That's probably the way to sum it up the best. And Donnie spoke of the quarterback position in general.
So every single year, there's one great athlete that gets hurt, whether it's quarterback, running back, defensive end, wide receiver. There's always one big name wide receiver, one big name quarterback that tears an ACL, blows out their knee. We're reaping the benefits of that on this Cleveland Browns team in Nick Chubb with a horrendous college injury. So it's going to drop their draft stock, but I don't think it's going to be any more than normal because this face-to-face stuff now, what people are doing is they're putting a lot of weight on how much people are looking into on these pro days and private workouts and stuff like that. That's really, that's more for show. These guys already have an idea of who they're going to want and how they're going to draft. Because, look how many quarterbacks go out there and, they throw 3 passes. They say, I'm not running the 40. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. It doesn't change your draft stock. So COVID is going to change the way the next season is going to be for sure. Because, and I keep saying it, and shout out to my buddy David Miller and Eric Diamond, and a couple other guys I talked to on a separate podcast type of thing, where they asked the question, when are people going to feel comfortable going into stadiums again? And the answer to that, no, I don't think anybody knows. I know myself personally, but I get upset. So I'm not getting elbow to elbow against with anybody anytime soon, just because of, the way this disease is going. So
for sure.
Tua, to me, the only thing with him is it's a hip. Tua is a hip, kind of and he's a quarterback.
Bo Jackson had.
Yeah, and Bo Jackson is 4 years in the NFL, and can you hear me?
But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying though is, Sammy, is that when it happened, I remember watching ESPN when that happened, and those announcers were like, "Oh my God, do you think this kid will ever come back and play again?" That was the immediate reaction. I know it's an immediate reaction, but there's still that thought that was implanted in people's head. So I don't think that I think anymore, because of the advances in in the medical field and just being able to kind of go back and look at a body of work, now we have unprecedented access to, games that these dudes played all year. Like they can go back at that and pull up the 7th pass he threw under pressure, in game 3 of the season. Tua's draft stock wasn't affected at all by his injury. He was never going to be the first quarterback taken. It was always.
Yeah, that's true.
Tua was never going to be the first quarterback taken. He was always going to be the second or third quarterback taken, because Justin Herbert kind of snuck in there a little bit. But a dude that, I really want to bring up is Laviska Shenault from Colorado. That dude's an electric wide receiver, and he's had injury upon injury the past few years. And they're still talking about him in the mid-teens, possibly no later than 25. And when you're a wide receiver and you've garnered that many injuries, it's kind of scary. Teams kind of want to back off. But in Chenault's case, I mean, they're not really backing off on him, man. And then that kid from Notre Dame, that edge rusher, Okunara or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but he had a horrendous fibula injury in week 11 this past year. And his draft stock hasn't been affected. He was always going to be a second, third round pick, and they're talking about him in the end of the first round now. I mean, you're not really seeing the type of stuff that you saw even like 10 years ago where like, oh, dude's hurt, his draft stock's affected, because I don't think that they're looking at injuries anymore as much as they're looking at potential now. I mean, even Chase Young, he had that, I think he had something wrong with him earlier this year. I can't remember right now, but someone was wrong with him, and people were immediately like, abdominal. "Oh, it was an abdominal thing," just like Joey Bosa, I think, and or Nick Bosa, sorry. And I mean, his draft stock hasn't been affected at all. They're still talking about him at number 2 to the Redskins, unless someone trades up to get a quarterback. And to go off of Donnie.
Well, see, the thing is
I just want to touch on that super quick. I think it's super irresponsible that they're doing that. It is a bad look on them to the world. I mean, we got into it the other night about Hollywood Higgins. He was at a buddy's funeral, and he's doing waterfall shots and stuff like that. There's no social distancing at all, and we kind of tore him apart a little bit. These kids think that they're invincible right now, and the fact of the matter is, sadly, hopefully this doesn't affect them, but I don't care if you're 6'4", ripped as heck, and you're 21 years old, or if you're 30 like me and massively overweight. It doesn't discriminate who it's going to hit, man. You're not invincible. I don't care who you are.
So I'd like to kind of not necessarily backtrack, but I like your guys' thoughts on kind of getting into the Indians here a little bit. Dean Callender and Chris Pildner, both. I know Chris is big fan. He hooked me up last year with some awesome tickets over at Prague Field. I think it's still called Prague Field, but Progressive Field. And then Dean, we all know who Dean is. He's a big baseball guy. Dean specifically said, "I'd risk it to go to the corner of Carnegie and Ontario." I am assuming that means he would go there to watch the Indians play again, regardless of COVID.
That's absolutely what he means.
Yeah, and then Chris Pildner,
smartest guy alive.
Right?
Smartest guy alive.
Chris Pildner before he said that I'd go to Progressive Field tomorrow in a Tyvek suit, N95 mask, and gloves, but I'd be there on a nice, hot, humid day. Happy. So, I mean, obviously some pretty dedicated people to the Indians, which there's nothing wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. But I guess really getting into, do you think baseball is even ever going to start this year, or do you think we're just going to roll through it and never play? And or if you do think they're going to start, is it going to be empty, like watching Monday Night Raw on WWE because it's the only thing on to watch with nobody in the stadium?
In a perfect world,
I think it behooves.
In a perfect,
go ahead, Sammy. Go ahead.
In a perfect world, baseball's going to carry on. They're going to play. They're going to play in some sort of controlled environment with just them. I will say that there's going to be a large population of people who are going to be irritated when it comes to the whole testing and all these other things, because what they're talking about doing is testing every baseball player, whether it's every game or, once a week, twice a week type of deal, in a world where people who need the tests aren't getting them. So what we're doing is we're placing our wants for entertainment and the need for financial gain over top of, people's health. That's the world. I'm not going to get on that soapbox right now because that's reality. In a perfect world, though, I would say get baseball going maybe in June. They've run shortened seasons before. Get it going in June. Try and get as much as you can. Nobody's watching the games though. I think Dean was just talking about. It might be what Dean is talking about actually, where there's a stadium in China where they're putting mannequins and robots and stuff out there. So if the ambiance and all that is needed for these baseball players, but they're still keeping people safe, that's what you need. But I will tell you this, like, you have to take it seriously, and if it means that we're gonna have to, watch ESPN Classic for 8 months, I guess that's what it means, because I'd rather watch ESPN Classic than the inside of my eyelids 6 feet underground.
True that.
100%. I've been kind of paying attention to Korean baseball recently. They've been doing inter-squad games. They're wearing face masks, and they have these full body scans when they walk into the stadium to ensure that their players are healthy. I know there's a couple former American players. Adrian Sampson's one for sure that's playing on the Giants, the Korean League Giants, not San Francisco. But he was talking. I was watching some interview with him, and he was talking about just like all the measures that they're taking right now, about how they're being super cautious. South Korea has a population of I think it's like 51 million and 192,000 confirmed cases, and it's like a 1% mortality rate. But they're still shutting everything down, and they're still, being super cognizant of everything going down. If face masks, long sleeves, the bunched up pants, and batting gloves on at all times is what they feel is going to keep them safe, and if they're successful, I think it behooves Paul Tagliabue to take a look, Rob Manfred to take a look at their system and maybe employ a lot of those measures. And as Mark Lovash said just now, they're talking changing up divisions, trying to play. Like I saw earlier, you might not see ALNL, you might see grapefruit and cactus. And honestly, as long as everyone's safe, as long as everyone's being responsible, I don't see a problem with them trying to employ their players and empower them to go out there and play the game. I think that they should be doing what like a lot of organizations in America are doing right now. Hey, if you don't feel safe coming to work, don't come to work. If you don't feel well, stay home. We'll still pay you, that kind of thing. But if you feel well enough, and they have these measures in place, and it has to be a strict regimen, I feel, Garrett Cole's making like what, $58 million this year. That dude should want to go out and play if all these safety measures are in effect, because $58 million, I've never seen that in my lifetime. I'd love to do that.
Well, building onto that point really quick, I just want to put this out there for a question for all of you guys and everybody listening too. With a shortened season, should that really count against us when it comes to Lindor?
Ooh, that's a great question, Sam, on that end. Everything that's going on with Lindor right now.
Yeah, like if they cut, you know what I mean? If they cut the season short, or if they cut the season together, does that mean we get an extra year of Lindor? Because I'll tell you what, getting half a year of Lindor is garbage.
I'll tell you, Dolan seems resolved to not keeping him, and I'm of the camp, if you're not going to make a concerted effort to keep that kid, trade him now while his value is high and he's healthy. Do right by him. He's done right by you his whole career. Get something for him now so he can go somewhere, man. Like, if you've already come out and said, enjoy Frankie while you have him, to me, that kind of means we aren't going to re-sign him. And I hate that. He's my favorite Indian ever. But I'd rather see us get something for him now while he's healthy, doesn't contract COVID. If he does, if he stays in Cleveland, let's say he contracts COVID, there goes his trade value. Get something for him now, man. Get something for him now. Because you're right. A half year of Frankie is trash.
I want to back up just a touch. There's another topic I did want to touch in.
I agree, Nick. And Dean.
We're going to get back. I got a question I want to get answered for Donnie, but there was one more topic I wanted to cover tonight before we ended, and that's on, I don't know if you guys all know who Kyle Larson is. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And the reason why I'm going this route is because Mark Yeah,
That word.
one
man.
of our friends here asking question. Mark,
He's an activist, right? He's an activist.
I don't know about that, but he says, "What do you think about sports
In its own way.
going the virtual route right now? Motorsports have embraced it, and it's been showing on NBC Sports. Drivers are using race simulators, which I think it's awesome. I mean, before we get into, all right, I mean." But I think it's definitely interesting. I didn't know myself that they've went to a virtual race. So, Mark, if you can ask a little bit or answer a little bit more for me, are they actually competing? Like, if they win the race, are they making money?
I actually know a little bit about this.
Okay, go ahead.
I actually know a little bit about this only because a good friend of mine, Ricky DeWeese, is part of this culture. Of these people that
I believe that
they put together these very, very elaborate setups for virtual racing, where you are penalized, and if you crash into people, it costs you literal money. There are standings, and this iRacing stuff that they're doing is not new. This has been going on for years and years and years, and it started off, I believe, if he told me, as like a simulator for people who wanted to train, NASCAR drivers who wanted to train. So I've played around with the setup that he has over there, and it is incredible how realistic it is. I mean, down to the feel of the gas pedal. It's like driving a real car. So these guys are, I knew that that's what they were going to do, because NASCAR is not going to just sit back like every other. Look at the NBA right now. They're doing horse. Okay, we're going to have a national tournament for horse. The same game that you played against your fat, overweight uncle or me now.
Right.
Like they're doing that as a national competition.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, this iRacing stuff that they're doing, it's legit. There's a lot of money. I mean, you got people out there making sponsorship money that is more than I make in a year to sit in a racing simulator. And if they flip in the air like Ricky Bobby, they still get to get up and go eat dinner that night. So who knows? Maybe that's where, people are going to keep going.
You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby.
One thing. So
maybe they should make a flip up in the air and pay the real price.
That's for sure. One thing I brought up the racing one because I seen that on there. But what Kyle Larson did, he was on a virtual simulator today. I'm assuming what we just talked about. He dropped the N-bomb live, and it was not good. I was watching.
No, that's
one. The comment. I hate you, John. The commentator.
Why are we laughing?
Because who does that? Like, of all, you're live.
I'm just gonna say one thing. I'm gonna say one thing about Kyle Larson, and I'm gonna just get it off my chest. The man was sponsored by McDonald's and Credit One. Okay,
really?
He's sponsored by the most unhealthy, generic fast food company and a credit card for people with bad credit. Like, come on. This dude is the epitome of idiot.
Right.
I'm just going to throw it out there. His career is done. It's unsalvageable. Throw him out the window. Let him be a free agent.
It's gone. Once there are certain things that you can't do for any reason.
Yeah.
Joking or not. And that's one of them.
Well,
okay.
Has anyone watched the video on it?
I have not, but
there was
they said that it's very clear.
Oh yes, no, I watched the video earlier today after I watched Stephen A. Smith talk about it. And when the way the guy said it, it wasn't like even the white guy on the First Take, I think it is. He said it with a hard R, which I don't know if you guys know, but
that was a hard R.
That was like very hard, and he meant every word he said was hard.
Listen, I don't care if he said a hard R, a hard Z, a hard F, a hard D. You can't say that. Period. So no joking with this. Nothing funny about it. There are certain things you can't say. There are certain words that are so atrocious that once you say them, you have changed the way people will think about you. And now he gets to spend the rest of his life trying to describe to people that he is not that guy. And that's his own bet, and he made it. Yeah, so what that tells me is behind closed doors, he probably uses that. Yeah, behind closed doors, that's the type of people that are using those words on a very regular basis. Because you know what? Sometimes they say drunk lips tell your truths. Then, sometimes when you're not, when you can't play that facade, you let your guard down for a minute and tell us who you really are. So maybe he needs to sit down and look at who he truly is and take that word out of his vocabulary.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause when he said it right there on the show, he was racing or whatever, and he just dropped it. Like it was no big deal. He meant it in the discriminatory way. If I said that right, I'm not sure, but he meant it to be rude and ignorant is what he meant by it, in my opinion.
And I hate the excuse people use, like, oh, well, that's probably how he was raised. That's probably how, that's probably like how he was brought up.
We're out of that.
If you were brought up that way, unlearn it. Unlearn it. There's certain things that like my father did when I was growing up, I unlearned because I knew going to school where I went to school, that kind of thing. Some stuff that like my dad or like people that my dad hung out with, that's just not what you say. And I'm not talking about that word specifically. I'm talking other words. But that's not stuff that you say. Like, and I'm like, man, if I said that in school to the wrong person, I'm probably gonna come home with like 2 black eyes and a lost tooth. So I'm just not ever going to be that person. I'm not saying my dad ever said that word because he didn't. It was other stuff.
Yeah, this guy is not a 30-year-old, 40-year-old man. He's a kid. So he wasn't raised, you know what I mean? He's not raised. He wasn't born in a world where all this stuff happens. Because I've got news for people. That excuse of that's how you were raised left about 15 years ago. Because we live in a world where everybody is around everybody. And even if you're not, once you become an adult, you immediately become integrated. So you have to get rid of that stuff. So anybody who's between the ages of 17 and 28, if you're saying that, it's purely because you're ignorant.
Question. Sammy,
go ahead, John.
You spoke real quick about like where people come from, right? So that's one of the beautiful things about America is like we actually have like a multitude of subcultures that have been created, but it's also like a blessing and a curse, right? Because you're the one that turned me on to watching that horribly, ridiculously funny show, The Wild, the Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, right? like he probably
boy,
right? He probably grew up in a town like that, like, has no idea of like just people in general, and was just, I mean, not to justify anybody using any type of like, racial slurs or anything like that. Like, I get it. Like, the guy's screwed, but the point is, people do live in these like sub demographics that are so completely isolated, and they're so like out in left field. You know what I mean? Like, they still think like the Klan's like a big deal. You know what I mean? Like they don't realize that it's just like a fading facet of what America was. So like, there's still always going to be people that are stuck in that, I guess, in that rut and in that like level of ignorance that don't know how to expand outside of their horizon or accept difference or even adjust and adapt. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, all we're really doing for this guy right now is giving him a platform to like be spoken about, when realistically what we should be doing is just completely shutting the guy off and just letting him go, man. Like, who cares? He used like an unacceptable term in our society, and you have to pay a price for that, and he's going to. It's the way 100%. Of the road, bud.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that. Like, I'm telling you, you say more about who you are when you are upset, when you are drunk, or when it's down. That's when the real you is going to pop out. And I think what we've got here is a perfect example of that. I get what you're saying, because I mean, there might be shelter, but let's not forget, this guy isn't he doesn't live in a trailer in the middle of the field either. He's a NASCAR driver. This guy's got money. He's got time to get cultured. So somebody in his team maybe should have explained to him that every time you stub your toe, you don't say the N-word.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, stacking the rest of the NASCAR gurus, man. Sam, he's probably like the outer bed, like NASCAR for those cats. Like he probably hasn't seen a black person outside of like the newest says that they're doing like the simulated thing. I don't even know if there was a in there. That's probably why I felt. I don't know. The guy's
right. I mean, he's
the big and small
is he's racing his own. I mean, he's in a comfort zone, and that's why it slipped. If he was at a track, it never would have happened. One, no one would ever known about it. Two, if he did say it, it would have been between him and the head communicator, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So this simulator stuff is right in home. I want to play the video, but I don't want to broadcast what he said.
No, we're not playing the video.
Yeah, you'll lose everybody.
We're not giving another platform. I'm gonna cancel that. It shouldn't be acknowledged. We talked about it and we got it out of our systems.
Just real quick though, have you guys ever, I'm sure you guys remember back in the day when you play anything online, especially back in the day. I haven't played Xbox or PS3 or 4 or whatever's out for probably since I was in college, right? And I remember back then we used to play with Goody. We played with a bunch of. I mean, we had squads, and you would get on there, and there would always be like 1 or 2 times a night you would get into a room where like somebody would use the N-word or racial slurs against anybody they were playing with. They'd hear an accent, whether it be somebody that's Spanish or they'd hear somebody that sounded black, and they couldn't wait to either get killed by them or kill them, and then they'd start making racial comments. And dude, at the end of the day, it's for the rest of time, there's always going to be people that are in that position and in that boat. And at the end of the day, I think we're doing the right thing by completely eliminating those people from the limelight of the media platform, which rightfully so. Yeah. But
you have to make
justify these people's actions.
If you make it so when you make that mistake that you're going to be a social pariah, then people are going to look at it differently. I look back at the what's the guy from Seinfeld? Whatever his real name is, Kramer.
Michael Richards.
You know what I mean? This is Michael a guy Richards. That was in the heart of Michael Richards. This guy's at the top of his game and decides to go off and say all this nonsense garbage at a stand-up act, and now he's never recovered. And that's what has to happen. That's what we have to. I feel like as long as society keeps doing that, that's how you're going to keep that in check, because people are going to realize that if you go that route, if you're going to be that trash person, you're going to get thrown in the garbage. As long as we keep doing that, eventually it's going to leave. I mean, I like to hope that, by the time our kids are older, that that's not going to be a thing anymore. I'm sure our parents thought the same thing, but I think there's a real shot because, everything today is about acceptance of everything and everyone. So, hopefully that's going to carry over to the race.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to move on to another subject. I mean, I'm sure we could talk about that one all night, but Donnie Lyons asked, what do I mean? He says, I'm sick of having a drink watching a guy try to bowl a 300 to win it all. So that being said, what's the thought on the new playoff situation? So you guys probably all know the NFL moved to, I do believe it's 17 games in the regular season, and 14 teams out of the 32 will be in the playoffs. So if you guys want to, John hasn't got a chance to elaborate too much on some of these questions, but I'd like to see him. We have no idea what you said. Yeah, what'd you say?
It's okay. I said the Browns have a chance.
The Browns have a chance. Okay. And I'm assuming that's a wild card round.
Browns have a chance.
So what do you think about that?
I think it's a good idea, but I also think that it's depending on how they handle the preseason, right? So let's say hypothetically that they take out one of the preseason games, or they shorten camp, or whatever they can do on the front end or on the back end. You're asking guys to play in a game on every week for 17 weeks of regular season before you even hit the playoffs, and then add additional games. If the players are down for it, great. If the NFL Players Association okays it and the players are cool with it, cool. But a lot of people misunderstand, you have to spend, I think it's 5 years in the NFL in order for you to get a pension. And the average NFL career is 3 years. And what you're doing is you're basically giving somebody a false front of the hope that they're going to be able to make it 5 years. I mean, away from like the talent level, man, you're playing in 17 games. You're getting hit by men that are freaks of nature. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care. You can be a freak athlete. Your collarbone will break at 14 pounds of pressure. It doesn't matter if you can lift a car or not. You know what I mean? And what that does is it creates long-term issues for the players themselves. While it's beneficial and advantageous for the league and for the fans, I think it's long-term bad for the players. But I mean, money makes the world turn around. So it is what it is. I mean, contracts are going to go up. The NFL is going to be making more than $9 billion a year, so they're going to have open the space in the salary cap to be able to provide to compensate for the losses or the potential losses or lost opportunity costs. And it's going to be what it's going to be. But I think it's a good idea in terms of like the long-term entertainment, because there is such a gap between the actual season and like the Super Bowl versus it starting over. But I think you have to evaluate how the players feel about it. I'm all for it personally, to be square, but I think it should be something considered by the players, because they're the ones that are getting hit by cars every Sunday.
Well,
what do you guys think,
John?
I think it's just another way to. I think it's another way to reward mediocrity. It's another reason to keep.
That's a valid point.
Organizations like. It is. It's another reason to keep organizations like this is coming from a fan of the Browns who missed it by 1 game, 2 games last year. But in this new playoff set, were we really a playoff caliber team? Absolutely not. Do you want to go out there and lose by 100 touchdowns in the playoffs? No. You know what I mean? Like this is it's adding. Yeah, you're right. It's about money. It's about getting more time. You're not going to get better football this way. And this is starkly the opposite of what I think when it comes to the college ranks. In college, I think there should be more playoff teams. I've always said 8 is where to go. In the pros had playoffs right. I don't want my team limping into the playoffs. I if we're there, I want that. What is the pride in the participation medal that's going to be a playoff soon enough? Or what's the point in going all in the season? Like, think about these last games of the year, when we're going against Baltimore. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to take away from that drama very quickly. So, it's going to it's happened. They're in there. They figured out how to push it through, how to get the money going. But I'm not a fan.
What do you think about
that being said, when the Browns make it in as the 18th seed, I can't wait to go to the playoff game. Wouldn't it be smart to get rid of preseason games and just add 1 or 2 real season game rather than so you can if you want to get rid of the preseason games, I guess you can do that too. Adding games is fine. You can add as many games as you want to. I don't think we need more playoff teams. Not in the NFL. The NFL had it right. The NFL's playoffs gives you a good idea of who the best team in the league is. Not very many. There aren't very many professional leagues out there that can say that. Not even baseball.
What do they mean by? What does Chris mean by should they renew contracts?
So, Chris, kind of touching on that. This offseason, when you saw free agents get signed, there has been more front-loaded contracts and more guaranteed money than there has ever been in an offseason before. Make no mistake, the NFL front offices did that with these expanded seasons in mind. Jack Conklin got from us an extremely front-loaded contract with guaranteed money, which means he's going to get, with that guaranteed money, he's going to get that all. You know what I'm saying? That's the point of a guaranteed contract. So when you're getting more guaranteed money, to me, that kind of indicates that they kind of took that 17-game season, those injuries, that kind of thing into account. I don't think that there's a point to renew these, like revise these contracts or anything like that, because you're seeing now players getting paid more upfront. You're seeing players get more guaranteed money. And I think that that's going to be a trend that you see going into the future more. Austin Hooper, who we signed, man, he got the biggest deal for a tight end that I think there's ever been or something like that. And 90% of that money was guaranteed. Tight end is a very physical position. I mean, John, I think you played tight end in high school and college, did you not?
I played a little tight end in college,
so
but mostly in high school.
So
real quick,
you
just
know,
to fact check you, Thom, Jack Conklin's contract is worth $42 million. $30 million of it is guaranteed, and then he's going to earn in 2020, his first year with the Browns, $20 million.
So right there, he's getting that money up front, and right there, I mean, you're seeing these players get paid early, and you're seeing these players get paid large lump sums of cash. Like I was saying, I don't think that there's a point to renew or revise these contracts. I think that the contracts are only going to evolve as this goes on. I think it's kind of redundant to think about this playoff expansion and this additional game as, you know, a detriment to the players in terms of injury and such. John, Sammy, you made fantastic points. That's absolutely the case. But, you know, they're getting paid, they're getting their money, and the tight end, like I was saying with Hooper, the tight end position is such a demanding position. You got to block and you got to run routes. I mean, more often than a receiver does. I mean, Jarvis Landry, wide receiver, he lines up in the slot, he throws them blocks, but that's not what he's asked to do every play. Austin Hooper is asked to do that every play. He's asked to block and then release on a route. So by getting that large contract, by getting a contract the tight end's never seen before, I think that's signaling to the rest of the league, hey, we need to start valuing these positions more because they're going to be playing more games, because there's a higher chance of injury, and because of the potential blowback from the players. I mean, what player is going to want to sign a deal where it's just an average contract by today's standards when you're going to be playing an additional game and you got that risk of injury, and they're getting more and more money? And like John said, money makes the world go round. And that's exactly what the NFL is doing. I mean, the Browns still have a ton of cap space, but that's because they've been smart. Yes, Jonathan.
So question, and then one quick story follow-up statement. So my question is, have you ever made $500,000 in a year? Because that's just stale information, but that's what it was when I was trying out. They told me if I made the squad and I made the roster, I was going to get $480,000 a year. I was willing to break my neck for that kind of coin, right? And these are for the young cats. The young cats aren't the premier players. So that was my initial question. But then to the point that Marcus Anthony made about it being purely entertainment, right? So I had a buddy. We built a break wall for him out in Euclid. And he was from Pittsburgh, really well-connected cat, was like a serial entrepreneur. And he's telling me this story that he came up with like the first reversible shirt, right? It was like NFL gear. And he made a Pittsburgh Steelers shirt that was, you know, you could wear it inside out or whatever, right? Like those old school starter jackets. So he goes in and he gets the opportunity to meet the Rooneys, right? So he's like, dude, I'm in the office. I'm talking to Rooney. He's like, hey, man, hey, Mr. Rooney, I'm a huge Steelers fan, born and raised out here. I love football. And this is like the mecca of it. This is just Steel City. He's like, I appreciate everything you've done for us. And he's like, football? He's like, I'm in the entertainment business. I don't know what you're talking about. But he said, hey, welcome to the NFL. And shook his hand. When that dude told me that, it blew my mind. It changed everything that I even remotely came close to believing about the NFL, football, whatever it is that they pretend to stand for. It's strictly entertainment. It's purely entertainment. Because if it wasn't, nobody else would really care about all these little tiny mitigating factors that are creating the conversations that we even discussed, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because if it was as pure as high school football, where it was like the run of the mill or just the luck of the draw, you deal the hand that you're dealt and you keep it moving and you pick what you pick based off of a community pot, it wouldn't be a contest, right? But because the way they structured it, and believe, to make no mistake about it, they're incredibly smart and there's still competitive aspects to the game. But don't think for a second that there's not a scheme in the long run. You know what I mean?
Oh, I understand completely. I understand completely what you're saying. I mean, my name.
I digress.
McCoy, Ryan.
No, I'm just giving you something to
thoughts.
fix it. Good
But
night.
no, I mean, I understand. Like, of course, the NFL is an entertainment business. The NFL is in the business of making money. The NFL is in the business of making profits off the likenesses of their players, off of their intellectual property. But I mean, I don't think that these players would have signed off on this new CBA, because ultimately the players had to vote on it. And some players like Richard Sherman came out and they were like, hey, I don't like this, and they got their opinions out there. But the majority of the NFL players did have to vote on this. And what you're seeing now is when these new guys get drafted, you were talking about like these are for the premier players. No, that's totally understandable. That's totally true. But these rookies are now getting way more money than they were 2-3 years ago. I mean, so it's not like, I don't feel like anyone's getting ripped off. I don't think anyone's like not getting their fair pay. I just think that people are kind of like hesitant to acknowledge that it could be a good thing in the long run. I just don't think that I don't think they would have signed off on it if they didn't see a benefit in it.
Sorry, I'm
True,
reading
but
through
that goes back on your age.
Let me just push this out there. With the contract situation, everybody, I think a lot of people get tied on.
That's on your ages.
I think everybody gets tied up on terms like the biggest contract, this, that, and the other, and renegotiating and stuff like that. We forget that the NFL has more money than the GDP of a lot of countries in the world. And the biggest contract for a tight end is only the biggest contract for a tight end until the next tight end signs. So the money's always going to go up. It's always going to go up. So you know what I mean? It's
always going to be there.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's how it'll go. And the running backs' money is going to go up, and quarterbacks are going to make enough money to have their own planet, in it very, very soon. So they're getting the money. These aren't the abused players from the 70s that are in wheelchairs and, with brain injuries not being taken care of anymore. They make plenty of money.
100%.
And they have this great union. They have this great union that is going to make sure that if they add any more games, they're going to go from salaried employees to hourly employees. You know what I mean? They're going to make sure that they get paid for every extra tackle. So I lean toward the players on that end, which is why I get very irritated when the Browns start. Anytime they brag about their salary cap situation, it blows my mind, because all they're saying is we don't spend money and we don't win. So we're terrible two ways. I think the Cavaliers show there's only one way to win in Cleveland, and that's to basically go bankrupt, go bring everything you got, push it out there.
Yeah, but me being, I'm a big Browns fan. I think everyone knows that.
Gilbert a lot of money.
But
Yeah.
I think if the Browns went bankrupt to win the championship, I think over the next 10 years they would make every dime of it back, plus everything else on top of it. But so question, Marcus Anthony asks if Baker
we watch a team that hasn't won in 150 years.
Right. I mean, last year we what was it, 33 games in a row or something? I can't remember what it was. Or not 33, or what was that number?
One of the questions I saw
it was 33.
One of the questions I saw on 92.3 The Fan and Ken Carman and Anthony Lima show was if the Browns could win a Super Bowl, but it meant that they wouldn't win another game for 10 years, would you take it? I'm basically taking that right now. So give me the Super Bowl.
Right, all day. Yeah, I mean,
give it to me, man. Like, heck yeah.
Absolutely. So, but Marcus Anthony asked if, and we've touched on this in the past two shows, but we'll touch on it again. If Baker doesn't bounce back this year, do we part ways? I think that is, honestly, that's a question that's already been answered. If Baker doesn't show up this year and put good numbers on the table, he's done. No other way to put that. We'll have Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, here's a better question. What are good numbers?
Good numbers for Baker Mayfield this year with that offense and his revamped offensive line. I'm saying if he doesn't have at least 3,800 yards, 32 touchdowns, and cut those interceptions to at least 13 or 14, that's not a good year for Baker. I mean, there's no excuse now. Kevin Stefanski employs a great system. Kevin Stefanski employs 2 tight end system. He knows how to use a zone run scheme, which is going to open up the play action for Baker. Baker was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL last year out of the play action. When he was not running play action, he was absolutely deplorable. I think my son would have better stats than him dropping back, and my son is 5. So I truly think that if we can continue to develop a system that Stefanski has, utilizing Alex Van Pelt as the offensive coordinator who has a proven track record of success developing quarterbacks and their cadences, I truly believe that Baker can have a bounce back year, but we need to employ play action. If Baker is not utilized in play action, which is his strength, I think it's on not only Baker, but it's also on the coaching staff, and it's ultimately going to fall on Jimmy Haslam. If you look at teams like the Pittsburgh, I'm going to throw it out there. If you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, they identified what Ben Roethlisberger is good at. They plugged in players that Ben Roethlisberger would succeed with, and what happened? Ben Roethlisberger has succeeded since 2004. Not because Ben Roethlisberger is the most talented quarterback, but because Ben Roethlisberger knows how to play within himself, and the organization has empowered Ben Roethlisberger to play within himself. Okay, so empower Baker Mayfield to play within himself and do what he is truly good at. I don't feel that if Baker has a year like I said or better, that we will stick with him. At that point, I think it behooves you to look at a Trevor Lawrence, a Justin Fields, or start looking outside the organization. Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, he has an insane contract, and they're going to have to pay.
Tell him what time it is.
Well, I think they brought in
Case Keenum, who ran Stefanski's system.
Why can't?
Yeah, Keenum.
What was the quarterback that
Case
they did?
Keenum.
Keenum. They brought Keenum in just
for the third time.
He's a push. He's
a push.
Listen,
it's all
he's a Ryan Tannehill. He's a Ryan Tannehill.
We've got Austin Hooper. We've got Austin Hooper, and for a mediocre quarterback, a great tight end is his best weapon. So if he's got Austin
Matt
Hooper,
Ryan, prime example,
who is an above-average tight end, he's got the best wide receiving core in the NFL, and he's got a top 5, probably a top 3 running back, and behind that top 3 running backs, probably a top 10 running back. So if Baker doesn't go out there and absolutely light the league up this year, we're wasting our time. Because I'll tell you what, Jeff Garcia would bring us to the playoffs with this team.
Yeah, he would. That's
Heck yeah, he would,
right,
man.
Yeah.
Him and his supermodel girlfriend.
Ride Chubb all year.
Yeah,
Chubb all year.
That was the biggest mistake.
Exactly. Employ the Tennessee system.
Yeah. I mean,
ride that boy until the wheels fall off.
I mean, he's probably still on his rookie contract, I'd imagine. Correct?
What'd you pay him for?
He is for the next 2 years.
Correct?
Yeah, next 2 years.
I'll tell you what, if they were smart,
5th year in the league, he'll get paid.
I'll tell you what, if they were smart, what they would do is they would ride Kareem Hunt and try and bump his stats up to make him look like a super beast and turn him into another good player. Trade him away. So you give him the first half of the year.
I mean,
you give him the first half of the year where he's taking the lion's share of the snaps and let him bulk up these snaps. When you get a team that's on the iffy whether they're going to be in the playoffs or even better, a playoff team that has lost a running back, because that's inevitable too. You really can turn Kareem Hunt into way more than he's worth. Don't forget, we're paying this guy $1 million a year, which is nothing in the NFL for what we're getting. Right, hopefully this new guy is for him, because we've got a lot of pieces.
So dude, he's a stud though. I wouldn't want to get rid of him.
Yeah, but he's not a bigger stud than Chubb.
I would like to see Kareem Hunt retire with the Browns.
It's not going to work.
Listen,
I don't
Cole,
see it because
two
you
running
know what?
backs.
His head is
Tom,
going to
don't
go
say
and
it.
still want to get paid.
I'm not done running my mouth.
Go ahead, John. Go
What's
ahead,
that?
John.
Ryan, I
Cole?
lost you.
Can you hear me?
I said if you sign off, stay on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
I said don't sign off.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you end it, I'm going to chew on you boys for a little bit. I'm digging the mojo. Plus these
I'm digging that
Tito's
beard,
are
man. It's
going
looking
down
good.
how smooth.
Here
Listen,
we go.
don't forget.
All right.
Dude, my
Don't
barber's
forget-
been shut down.
We've got to pay. We've got to pay Baker. We're going to have to pay Myles Garrett. We're going to have to pay Denzel Ward, and we're going to have to pay Nick Chubb. You think we're going to pay all of those guys and still have enough money to pay Kareem Hunt, who is probably going to be an elite level back? Absolutely not. So work him to death.
Absolutely not.
Turn him into some either player picks and get rid of him.
Who's his agent? Because I can guarantee you a few vouchers to Christie's and the Crazy Horse will change his mind on a $500,000 contract.
Kareem Hunt's agent is. There we go. Oh,
It ain't Drew Rosenhaus, I'll tell you that.
oh.
I know he's with PFS.
Yeah.
So PFS is a pretty well-renowned agency. I know they're going to leverage to get him paid. I know they're going to leverage his complete turnaround that he's made in life to get him paid as well because he's become a better person. But I think the one thing,
Yeah,
Sammy,
no, they
you
did
brought
a
up
great
good
job of
point.
investing in his personal development.
Well, I mean, he ain't WWE style kicking people outside of hotel rooms anymore, and he did apologize for it. But I mean, what I'm getting at is
he's not really right.
agents will do whatever they can to get their guy paid. So they're going to try and leverage that. Hey, Cleveland was his home. Cleveland helped turn him around. So why don't you guys want to keep him? And I think the thing is, Sammy made a really good point earlier. You don't have 2-star running backs on the same team anymore. Like this isn't like when we had God, I'm going to get crucified. The running backs in the 80s, those two really good running backs. I can't remember their names. So that's my. I think that's
Biner
the
and
Crown Royal right there. Ernest Biner and Mac, was it?
No, yeah, it was Mac.
Yeah, Kevin Mack.
Yeah,
Biner and Mac.
Yeah, Kevin Mack.
So you don't have that anymore. You don't see that anymore. I think the last time we saw two great running backs on the same team at any NFL level was Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams and Lendell White and Reggie Bush, and that was college. I don't think you see that anymore, and I think it's a shame. I think it's unfortunate, but I think it's the way that the game's developed.
The best duo I've seen is Mike Allstott and Warrick Dunn in Tampa Bay.
Turner and
that's one of the best backfields to ever play.
Oh, or Michael Vick and Warrick Dunn back in Atlanta. Michael Vick was essentially just a running back who could throw.
Yeah, it was. All
God,
right, so with Cleveland signing big name Austin Hooper from Atlanta, I love the pickup myself. But my next question is going to be what happens to Njoku? Where does he end up? Does he stay in Cleveland? Do they move on from him? I mean, he is a physical specimen. I don't think the NFL's really ever seen in his position. I know he's not the greatest blocking tight end, but he does have the ability to catch the ball and get downfield. Well, catch is kind of, but he does have, he could stretch the field at that tight end position.
Njoku's going to
I don't think we get rid of him.
Tight end. So what do you guys think happens to Njoku?
I don't know, Sammy. I don't know, man. Stefanski is famous for employing a 2 tight end system. That's what he talked about from day one. I think if you have an Njoku type player on your team with Austin Hooper, it only helps. Huh? Why we all freeze?
Yeah, but
no, he didn't. John is the one that
2 tight end system. You have to be a tight end that can catch.
Well, I mean, we lost Ricky Seals-Jones, and Ricky Seals-Jones was our main receiving threat at tight end last year. I was really sad to see Seals-Jones leave. I mean, I know he signed with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I knew we weren't keeping him.
And, that kind of broke my heart a little bit because I loved him. But I just don't think I don't think, at least for this season, you're going to see Njoku go anywhere. Now, the Patriots would be a great destination because of Belichick's affinity for tight ends, and he doesn't have one right now, really, because Benjamin Watson did just retire. So Njoku is the
I think
prototypical New England tight end right now.
I think they're going to try and scoop up. Yeah, I think they're going to try and scoop him up, and I think they're going to land Cam Newton too.
Dean, that's a great point. Kamara and Ingram was a great
Dean
backfield.
Is dead on.
I 100% apologize.
Yes, he is.
Coming out of left field.
Dean, you are on with it, brother.
Yep.
I think we got John. I put John back opening.
And that's why Ingram had to get out of there, because you can't have two.
You just can't have two anymore. The one thing I think about with running backs,
somebody's going to want to get
having two great running backs in the backfield. I liken back to that film that we were talking about last night, Sammy, Any Given Sunday. And I know it's a fictional movie, but when LL Cool J is like two touches away from getting his money, and he's like yelling at Jamie Foxx in the huddle, he's like, give me the ball. I want my money. That's what it's really about for running backs right now. They aren't going to get paid unless they get their touches, which translates into yards if you're a good enough running back. And I just remember the expletive-laden rant that LL Cool J's character gave Jamie Foxx in that film. And like I said, I know it's a fictional movie, so it's not the best example, but it's what I think about when I think of two great running backs in the backfield at one time. Give me the ball. I need my money. I need my yards. So you're not Mark likes tight ends more than Belichick. Pump boy. But I just really think that's how it goes with running backs now. You're never gonna see. I don't think you're ever gonna see you'll never see McCaffrey and Nick Chubb in the same backfield, for instance. It's just never going to happen because it doesn't make monetary sense and it doesn't make sense for the team.
So speaking of McCaffrey.
Well, Dean, I don't know because Ricky Williams was smoking a lot of pot back then.
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey's a great white hope.
McCaffrey earned every dime of that.
Kyle Larson loves Christian McCaffrey.
So McCaffrey's
question. Actually,
let's see. Go ahead, John.
How's that Tito's treating you, brother?
So, smooth, man, really smooth.
Good, baby, good.
Truthfully, respond to your statement, OJ, in the movie. Right? So, I don't know if you guys remember the series Playmakers that was on ESPN that they took off of air because it was too illicit. It was too unrealistic, right? Dude, I love that series. Dude, no question about it. And I will say this till the day I die. The greatest football experience I ever had was in high school. Once you start, it's no different from the job that you currently have. You want to make, if you, especially dude, you're a dog, you're in sales. It's no different from X, Y, and Z to get your, if you get 4, you're going to make $1 million. You get 20 touches by. That's where that heavy leverage end of the contract.
I agree.
You are breaking up real bad, John.
Almost very similar.
No, I got the gist of what John was saying. Ryan, you and I are in car sales, so
together like the '85 Bears.
You don't want a salesman as good as you on the floor with you.
You feel bad.
You know what I mean? I'm pretty good at my profession. I'm pretty good at what I do. I don't want someone as good as I am at what I do on the floor with me at the same time, because that ultimately takes away the opportunity that I have to get in front of a customer and potentially try to sell them my product.
Yes, 100%. That's for sure. Let's see. Yeah, so back to Christian McCaffrey.
So if Landry's getting the ball and Chubb's not, and Chubb You go ahead. Sorry.
Agree.
Mm.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. You are so when you talk, like we can see you begin to talk, and then you're delayed by like 5 seconds.
Well, you're the host.
Dragon
So what
Ball
you got to do is you
usually
got to
right
tell
on par.
Owen to stop playing Fortnite
Right.
for 5 minutes so John can talk. Tomato Town's going to be there, bro.
I don't think that's
Tomato Town will be there. Spooky Forest or whatever it is, that ain't going anywhere. But John's time with us is precious.
No, he's not playing Fortnite anyways. But yeah, so Christian McCaffrey,
Oh, excuse me, Sea of Thieves.
$16 million a year. Sorry, son was choking, had to check. But yeah, $16 million a year. I really believe he earned every dime of that. He carried Carolina so many times, especially last year without Cam Newton. I'm not a big fan.
Sure.
Cam, but he was good at what he did for the most part. But if McCaffrey wasn't there, I don't think he would have did as much.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, actually,
Absolutely, he wouldn't have.
Christian McCaffrey, based on Cam Newton's play last year, is the only reason they were even relevant at all. Cam had a down year. He's had a down year for about 3 years. McCaffrey's a game changer out there. He can do everything, and he can do everything well. I think that he was immediately written off because he was a white running back, and that's just how the NFL is. We dealt with something similar out here with Peyton Hillis. Peyton Hillis for 1 year, Peyton Hillis for 1 year looked to be Mike Allstott 2.0. And,
absolutely.
Kudos to Carolina because they took the chance on him. And yeah, I mean, he's a beast. The guy's an absolute monster. And he's somebody, Carolina is really, really good at getting one player and riding his relevance for about 5-6 years. And I think they've got that player. That's why they're paying him $16 million, because they can pay him $16 million and then sign everybody from the local high school team, and people are still going to watch because Carolina fans are, they're a newer bunch, but man, they are just as rabid as us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Absolutely. Carolina has a very rabid, loyal fan base, and they get behind their team, man. I remember the Super Bowl that year when Delhomme was the quarterback, and they had Muhsin Muhammad and who's that other receiver?
Yeah. I can't think about it, but yeah.
He was a light-skinned dude.
Steve Smith?
Steve Smith. Yes, Steve Smith. They had those two dudes, man, and it didn't matter who else was on that field, man. When those two were on that field, that stadium lit up because Carolina is a fan base that gets behind their product. I mean, on the outside looking in, you would have thought Jake Delhomme was Peyton Manning to those fans, man, because they loved their quarterback. And that's really refreshing to see in football because I don't think you see that all the time. Carolina is a area that really got behind the Panthers and has really embraced them. They don't have John McCoy, though,
Julius Peppers and Michael Rucker.
Oh my God.
Julius Peppers and Michael Rucker. At one time, that was the best defensive end duo in the NFL. They were ridiculous. Yeah, Jake the Snake Delhomme. There's another one. Now, you want to talk about a game manager? That guy was by definition a game manager. D'Angelo Williams. So Carolina, Carolina has made some really good choices, which is why they're a playoff Super Bowl team. That's where I really wish the Browns would take on that mentality. They had Riverboat Ron though, and that was a big one. You know what I mean? We can't get our coaching staff right.
Hey man, hopefully Stefanski's.
I'll tell you what.
I honestly thought that Pet years ago.
I'll tell you what though. I just want to put this out there. Watching Kuiper's draft special today, I saw something really troubling in that they said that the Steelers are probably going to draft Jalen Hurts in the second round this year.
What, number 49, I think they said? Yeah, they're going to pick him up.
Yeah, and then what you could potentially be looking at that is, again, we have the worst quarterback. We could again have the worst quarterback in the division because Lamar Jackson is the best. That's not even competitive right now.
Right.
Joe Burrow, he could be great. I really believe in Hurst. I think that dude. I think he's going to be better than Tua. I think people are putting too much faith in Tua. I think Hurst is the guy. I think he's more pro ready.
I honestly, I'm going to throw a controversial opinion out there. I think Burrow is going to come out, and I think he's going to bust. I know he was great in college, but I can name off the top of my head 5 quarterbacks right now that were great in college and just busted. And I really believe that Burrow will be that guy. I think it's going to be a big mistake. They're going to get rid of Andy Dalton. And Burrow is going to be the man instantly. And I don't think that's going to be the right choice for Cincinnati. I think that kid's going to have the pressure to him right then and there. I mean, you look at Ryan Leaf, you look at Jason. I mean, he had a horrible injury, but Jason White. You look at Vince Young, who was a great college quarterback. Matt Leinart.
The story is too ready made, and I mean, he's a good college quarterback. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He played in the SEC, but
Vince Young,
and before that, the Big Ten. No.
Joe Vince Burrow. Young played in the Big 12. Yeah. Vince Young did play in the Big 12. Vince Young played some stiff competition.
Burrow.
Yeah, I'm a Joe Burrow.
Burrow needs to prove it.
Nothing.
Burrow sat for 2 years at Ohio State and then transferred out and then went to LSU. He went into a ready-made situation with a great running back in his running backs. He had fantastic receivers, and he had just an amazing offensive line and defense to bail him out. He's not going to have that offensive line. I don't care what anyone says. Joe Mixon is not a top 5 running back. He's not going to be the answer for him at running back to bail him out. And outside of that, who do they have? Giovanni Bernard behind Joe Mixon. There's not a consistent run game. And he has Tyler Boyd and an injured A.J. Green, and he has no tight end right now and no defense. That kid is going to get mollywopped the moment he comes in, and it's going to destroy his confidence.
On the back. He's on the back line of his career.
Oh, absolutely. It's a horrible situation for Burrow to come into right now. Burrow would do well going to a team like the Miami Dolphins, even though the Dolphins don't have a great system. The Dolphins have money. Dolphins have money to make a good team. The Bengals don't have money.
I know we're trying to let John talk.
Like it's too storybook to have this kid from Ohio with his girlfriend from Cincinnati. He's going to go down to Cincinnati and be this savior, this guy who's going to, I don't believe it. He had one great season. He couldn't even, solidify a job at the Ohio State. So, get out there and prove me wrong. But I'll tell you what, I've got more confidence in him than I do in Baker Mayfield right now.
Joe Burrow is the same story as Brady Quinn.
It is very, very
very good. He could whip the football, but Brady Quinn's problem is he was too busy wanting to become a Myoplex model instead of being a quarterback. And he had Romeo Crennel as his head coach. So, I mean, you were kind of thrown out the window at that point. But, I mean, when I think of Burrow, I just immediately think of Brady Quinn, man, and just the tragedy that was. My father is still of the 100% belief that if Brady Quinn would have had a different coach, the Browns would have had 5 Super Bowls by now, and Brady Quinn would be a top 10 passer all time. And I have to look at him with just the utmost disgusted look on my face when he says that. And it's the same thing with Burrow, man. It's not going to happen. And Mason Rudolph is the backup for the Steelers right now. Ben Roethlisberger had an elbow injury. He's not coming back from that, I don't think. If Jalen Hurts goes in, you're right, Sammy. I mean, Hurts could potentially be the second best quarterback in the AFC North out of his rookie year. I mean, because at least Hurts has a fresh arm. You know, Mason Rudolph isn't going to get it done. He's just going to yell racial slurs and get beat over the head with a helmet again, unfortunately.
All right, so my question is going to be: does Burrow go number one? Oh, yeah. Right. So Burrow. So my thing is, if Burrow does, if you don't think Burrow gets drafted by Cincy, who do you think goes number one overall? So Sammy, you're saying, what is it again? Burrow will go number one.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's one of the most for sure picks in the last 10 years.
Thom.
I think that Cincinnati is ultimately going to pick Burrow, but I think if Cincinnati was smart, they'd try to solidify that defensive line. I think that you go best player in the draft, best player in the past 5 years. If it were any other year and Joe Burrow wasn't in the draft, Chase Young would be a unanimous number one overall pick. And I think it's disgusting that Chase Young isn't in that conversation even a little bit to go to the Bengals. You have Sam Hubbard on one end of the defensive line, and Sam Hubbard hasn't played up to snuff yet, but he was also injured. Sam Hubbard has proven he's a good pass rusher. You put Chase Young on that other side, that's a devastating defensive line. Okay, and you still have Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's still a serviceable quarterback. There's a reason people are talking about trading for Andy Dalton. But if you had to do a quarterback number one, I'd almost prefer Justin Herbert to go to the Bengals, because at least Justin Herbert played in a competition where he actually earned his job and solidified his job over multiple years. He didn't just go in and he was automatically the best quarterback in the room like Burrow was. Herbert had to work his way up, and he proved he was the best quarterback in the room. Burrow kind of was just handed the reins like a lot of these other guys and just told to go with it, and he did. But Herbert is, in my mind, leagues above Joe Burrow at the pro level, because Herbert possesses something that Burrow doesn't, and it's a very necessary part of being a quarterback now, and that's mobility. Mobility is going to win you games from the quarterback position. Look at what Lamar Jackson did. Look at what Russell Wilson continues to do year after year. Michael Vick in Atlanta and in Philadelphia, the man wasn't the best quarterback, but the man could run and he was mobile. I mean, you're looking now, you have the game, it's changed, and you have to be a mobile quarterback. And Burrow, to me, doesn't possess that mobility, especially with a deplorable offensive line. Say what you will about Baker Mayfield, but at least the man is a little bit mobile and he can get out of those situations every once in a while. Burrow is not going to be able to get out of those situations, man. He's going to get caught up. He's going to get hit. And imagine what's going to happen when Myles Garrett blows through that offensive line and it hits Burrow that first time. He is going to just soil his pants, because that man has never been.
All right, so
hard.
John, I know we have a little bit of a delay with you, but who do you think Joe Burrow goes number one? Let's see if we can get him.
Tom Brady is a different breed, Dean. He's a different breed. We can't talk about Tom Brady when we talk about rookies.
Let's see. John, can you hear me? I just put you on audio only right now, hoping to make the feed a little better.
Gone.
Tom Brady is that Ludacris song, Last of a Dying Breed.
Oh, there, yeah, I heard him a little bit. All right. So do you think Joe Burrow goes number one? I cut your video.
Dude, listen.
Right now, your audio feed kicks in.
I got you. No, it's all
Thank
good.
you, Marlon.
I don't think Burrow goes number one. Points that everybody in this group and Nick Bill. I think that he is a solid at quarterback. A lot of people take in account statistics that are evaluated for anybody, but even here in Joe, the championship, the cerebral ability, man. Like, they'll put people around you that you're a leader and you're doing for you. You can throw the ball 15 yards and everybody's on the same. But as far as athletic ability and the capability off of, like, your Young, to me, is the hands down number in the NFL, because he can play 3-tech, he can play 5-tech, he can even play middle backer and blitz games, man. Everybody knows that. And or actually games. So I wouldn't waste my Burrow as much as I have a lack of stock on Burrow. I mean, everybody wants here it's the same situation. Cleveland's been 22 times plus, right? So it is a crapshoot.
Sure.
He's a good, and he's got the cerebral to be able to perform at that level, but he's not the number one guy. I digress.
Case in point with being cerebral, though, Ryan Fitzpatrick is super cerebral, but I wouldn't start a franchise with Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know, I mean, the man is Ryan Fitzpatrick, for my money, might be the smartest quarterback I've ever seen. Like, just because he knows the game so well, but Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't going to win you 12 games. Right. Unfortunately, you know, I wish he would. I love Fitzmagic.
You know what?
Hey, you know what?
The fact of the matter is,
it's the luck of the right? Hey.
Sorry, John, you were
going to the lot. Chevy 35 miles on it. Crisp.
You're still cutting out, brother.
Going to the lot.
It's his. That's it. I think that's it.
Right? It's a home run.
Yeah, I mean, you are
a Chevy 30,
I hate to do this too, buddy, but you are cutting in and out, left and right, up and down.
Right?
Right.
You got to.
Yeah, John, you gotta. I mean, we barely can understand you. I'm not the only one else having issues, right?
Nah, I can't understand.
Yeah, I'm only hearing like every third word. Yeah,
if
I understand. Chevy 500.
Hey, buddy, we love you. Thank you. Thanks for joining the show.
But if you can't hear me, put it this way: you got.
Oh, yeah, he's out.
I don't know if I did hear whatever that was.
Yeah, I just got him. I can't do it anymore. I've been trying to ride through it with no big deal, but I just can't keep doing it. I want his opinion and everything, but he's broke up more than I think any other time on the show.
We'll get them together.
Sam and Ronnie from Jersey Shore.
Right. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to go over for the most part myself. That was a lot of the stuff we wanted to touch on. Do you guys have anything? Oh, the one, I mean, we didn't touch on this, but the Tavares Jackson, the car crash, kind of a sad moment.
Oh yeah.
He was a Seattle quarterback,
tragic,
and I think the Viking. Yeah, unfortunately,
he was the Vikings quarterback. And
he's a good quarterback.
Vikings are my second favorite team. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good quarterback, a nice, you know what I mean? He was a career guy, you know, nothing to jump, you know, never a Pro Bowler, I don't think. But, you know, he was a guy that could get the ball to people and run a little bit too. So, you know, it's sad. You know, these guys are, it really brings it up. Like, you know, these guys are living the life that we would all love to live. But, man, it seems like it ends so quickly for a lot of them, you know. So prayers for his family. You know, I'm sure that they're really going through it. It's tragic. You know, the last thing that you would think during this time of COVID is that you're going to lose somebody to a car accident, because we're all so, you know, focused on that.
Absolutely. It's just horrible, man. Like, last year there was another athlete that passed away riding his motorcycle. You know, it's and 5 minutes before he died, he posted on his Instagram a picture of his motorcycle and everything. You know, the worst part about the whole thing is that he leaves behind his children, he leaves behind his significant other, and he leaves behind his mom and dad, who you know, I saw, you know, as a big Vikings fan, you know, watching some YouTube stuff, like his parents were so proud of him, you know, everything that he accomplished, everything coming from a small college and then making it to the NFL, man. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. Making the NFL is a huge accomplishment, but making it from a small school makes it that much more special. Everything that young man worked for his whole life, He
for
achieved,
anybody.
and
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he did it, and he did it well. He did it the right way. You know, you never heard about Tavares Jackson in the media, like, you know, getting into fights, getting drunk at a bar, anything like that. It was always class. And the worst thing about this man, like I said, is he leaves behind his parents, and just watching how his parents beam with pride every time that kid did something, like, it just kind of crushes you a little bit, even though you don't know him. Because as a parent myself, man, like, I just look at my son and I'm so proud of everything he's accomplished. And God, like, I don't even want to know how that would ever feel. So your boy did everything in his life he set out to do, and now it's just cut so tragically short when he had so much more potential. It's like, man, that stings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough loss, you know. Somebody who worked hard to get where he was going, and then, you know.
Right.
R.I.P. Tavares. I actually signed him on my Madden Ultimate team not too long ago. So,
all right. Yeah, that's really about all I have for the show. Anything you guys wanted to touch on before we get off here? I mean, we still have another 8 minutes. Usually we run about 2 hours. I mean, whether it's a little short or longer, don't matter. Any questions from the
before we go, I do want to just again, like I did last night, I told my wife I'd kind of give her a plug tonight for her business that she's doing. She has a Facebook page out there. It's called Nailed It with Jess. What she does is she has like a home manicure business for you. So it's these nails that you place on at home, and I don't really know anything about it other than that a lot of people seem to enjoy it, and I know she loves doing Sammy, it. So if
Nailed It by Jess or with Jess?
I think it is Nailed It by Jess, but let me double check that. But here's the deal. Here's the real kicker. During this time of COVID, it's Nailed It with Jessica. Is her Facebook page. During this time of COVID, where people can't get into salons and stuff like that, this is something you can do in home. I know it's something she does with my daughters. They all love it. So, you know, shout out to her for, you know, working hard and doing what she does.
That's awesome,
I think it is. So I'm going to get a post up here. I think it's I Nailed It with Jessica. Does that sound right?
All right.
Nope.
So real quick, Ryan, while you're looking at that, John's point was, if you're on a car lot with only X amount of cars, you're going to take the best one available, but also the ones that suit your needs. That's the point of view on the draft. You would buy a Chevy 3500 for an outside sales job. So, yeah, John, you make a great point. You know, Burrow might be the need for Cincinnati, but, you know, how practical is it going to be? But anyway, sorry, I just wanted to acknowledge John's point real quick.
Yeah, I want to shout Jessica out. I want to get her page up here. That way
one thing I want to bring up.
Everyone can see it. Give me 1 second.
Real quick here while Ryan's getting that. For everyone listening, Sam, Ryan, and myself have talked about this. We're going to have a bigger social presence here pretty soon. We're going to be getting a Twitter and Instagram, dedicated Facebook page. We're going to be creating a website here soon with blog posts and such, so that you can we can get more of a fan interaction type thing. We definitely appreciate everyone being on the sidebar over there and interacting with us, and that's what's going to really bring this podcast forward and kind of differentiate us from other ones. Is we really appreciate what you guys do for us by providing us with discussion topics and such. It's super important. And, oh, my God, that's a great logo.
Yep, nailed it with Jessica. I love it. I'm going to put some information up here for my wife here in a couple minutes.
That is wonderful.
But yeah, and I'm going to co-sign with Thom on that while this is being up there. Everyone can take notes.
Yeah, she does a good job. I'm really, really proud of her.
That's awesome, man.
Right. Yeah, guys, here. And the biggest thing is, just so you know, all the viewers know, you guys push us along. You guys get us where we need to go. We start off this typically with only 3 to 5 topics we want to talk about, and then we kind of branch off. That's the best part about doing this with you guys. It's almost like having a group of friends kicking it on the back deck, having a couple beers, shooting the shot, going from there. So, but thank you guys, everybody. And again, like Thom said, we'll probably do another one in 2 days from now. Unfortunately, the sports scene is kind of down and out a little bit, and I don't like to keep talking about the same thing over and over again. I mean, we'll do one show. I would say one show a night, but we'll cut it down to each instead of it, that many.
I would say also,
Go ahead,
if
Sam.
if you have anything you want us to touch on before the show, send one of us a message, whether it's a comment, a direct message, a text, whatever, Snapchat. If there's a topic that you want to, or you find something that you think is interesting, let us know, and we'll get to it and send you a shout out. Honestly, thank you, Umang, thank you, Alan, everybody who's watching and telling us great show. Thank you for all that. We appreciate it. It helps us go by. This is awesome.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I want to get another shout out to my wife. If I get my computer to load here, she's got some information preloaded on this computer. She sells a product called It Works Skinny Brew. That is kind of her bread and butter right now. Her information is Rebecca Cole. So REBEKAHCOLE.itworks.com. So if anyone's interested in finding out a little bit more about health and whatnot, and becoming a little bit better, that's the way to go. And I want to put her up there, but everything is failing on me right now. My computer hates me. Oh God! Let's see, I want to close it, but that's it. That is the show. Future. Let's see. Let's talk about political landscape of Ashtabula and the impact it has and has had on Beulah. I listened to an audio shared by Sammy earlier. I think there is a lot to be discussed. That's true, John. We do want to do that. Just to revert back to Rebecca Cole stuff. So RebeccaCole.itworks.com. She sells products that are related to weight loss, daily nutrition, and skincare. She has be hip to the It Works Skinny Brew, and then what's the other one, hon? The ThermaFlight X, that helps me a lot too. I'm a big guy trying to lose some weight. So anyone needs information on that, please don't hesitate to get information. So yeah, that's about it. Anyone have any questions, last comments before we get off?
No, like I said, thanks everybody. It's always fun. I can't wait to do this again in 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a great time. Definitely appreciate it. We appreciate what you guys, like I said, what you guys do for us. And I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to see how big we can get. I'm excited to see, just how Ryan, Sam, myself, and when John becomes a regular contributor, how we can all kind of develop as content creators and, purveyors of information to you guys.
Right. And don't forget, this will be up on Facebook here probably in the next half hour to an hour, the entire show. It will get shared to YouTube. If you guys could all go out and like us on YouTube and subscribe.
Kill that like button.
That would be great. Yeah, kill the like button. So, and Sammy and Thom, I do have to close out. But
yeah, share this. Let's get us
on here in a second. I'm going to close out, and I'd like to, just reevaluate after the show. But once I close it, it will stop the stream. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining the 440 in Goal show. Ryan Cole signing off.
Sam Tom Torres signing off.
All right, boys. See you in a little bit.
Later.
Closing time. Turn all of the lights for every boy and every girl.
We are definitely getting sued for using that song.
I think we're still streaming anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You stopping this thing, Cole, or what?
I got my hair down now, and God, I got to get this thing cut.
I'm pretty sure we are still Facebook Live.
I think we are too, Sam. I think
We
are too.
100% are. He doesn't know. I better tell him before he starts cursing.
Yeah, we'll get fined by the CDC. Center for Disease Control is going to fine us.
Yeah.